So I don't think we really want to watch the end of this first half because this game is stupid.
Yeah.
So okay.
Football is stupid.
Yeah. Let's see how we do this.
Well, actually, one of those is not an interstate. No. Two of those are not interstate. I think about this now.
Okay. Let's do a quick sound check if everybody can. We turn the sound down on this. That would help. Let's do a quick sound check to see if you guys can hear us. So one of the reasons why I'm asking is because this is sort of a new setup. I have a new laptop that I'm using for the first time, and I got a new wireless router not long ago. So, and there will be other changes as well in the next few months. But at least here, I'm using my baseline package of new stuff. So, if you guys can let me know if you can hear this okay.
There's been Adam in his package.
Excuse you?
There's been called Adam in his package.
I like Adam Ant better.
Yeah. I enjoy that 80s music.
I think we should be okay. I'm hearing it okay on.
I argue that 4 should be intrastate.
72.
It does enter another state.
It does.
Technically.
Yeah.
It's pretty flat. Though,
72 and 57 both technicalities. So
get that least flat part of that interstate is when you actually pass by US 61 and it ends in there.
72 Joliet's that's not Joliet.
Yes, I have to get another
Champagne, Springfield, edible.
I'm gonna take it. There's some rocks down by it, down as you go.
Beaveracus.
As you get towards the Mississippi, you head downhill. You do.
I mean, there's that bluff that you go up at the Illinois River.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, there's that part on 72 where you cross the Sierra, Illinois, and you kind of like it gets a little mountainous there, but yeah.
by Illinois standards.
The West End.
Did you know that the Donner Party started in Springfield, Illinois?
Springfield. It's a hell of a town.
I don't think I knew that.
I only knew that because I stopped in Springfield and I was in town there and I saw a historic marker that actually mentioned that's where the Donner Party started. I'm like,
no kidding. Wow.
Did they start at the schoolyard or the shopping mall?
So, you know what? Yeah, they did cross the Sierra, Illinois.
That would have been the first big obstacle they hit, right?
Yeah.
And then the Mississippi River after that. So,
Okay.
Bill, are you all right back there? What are you doing? Okay.
Go, Bill.
Yeah, we're going to give people a couple of minutes to get settled in before we start. This is not going to be a particularly long show.
Yes, it will. We'll drag it out.
We will try to get this done at a reasonable hour.
By 9 o'clock. You want to go in there for some live footage?
You know what? I'm good. You can if you want, but
I'm not going to say where
because I know that's what you're into. But no. We'll just put the picture of the doughy butt on the screen for a couple of minutes. That'll work. That'll give you a couple of minutes to think about what you want to say on that first bullet point.
Yes, I
think
you have a couple of minutes to rehearse in your head.
I think you could start right now with that last bullet because you are the one who's qualified to talk about the.
We will get to that. It is part of the year in review presentation.
Fair.
Because I didn't show you guys the presentation ahead of time, so there's stuff to get into for sure, both road and non-road related.
Speaking of, actually, I know I'm looking at your binders up there. Found out recently that my grandfather was actually a passenger in the U.S. on the SS United States in 1956.
Is that right?
November 1956, he went to visit Germany.
No
Well,
kidding.
went to Germany to visit.
He's got my
Is
salute.
there memorabilia associated with this?
My brother found a passenger log.
Okay.
That's all we have.
Okay.
But his name is listed on like
Yep.
tourist class or whatever he was.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I found out about that on Sunday, actually.
Okay.
I assume for political reference, SS in this case means sinking ship.
But it's not be right.
Well,
Maybe.
we will talk about that as well at some
All right.
point in this show. All right, it is 6:07, so let's get started. Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Roadway Wiz channel. And tonight we're going to be talking about a year in review. It's our first live episode of the year 2025. And what better way to start out a new year than to reflect back on the past year that we had? And I'm pleased to be joined tonight by a panel of experts here. We've got Steve from alpsroads.net. We've got Doug from gribblenation.org. And we've got Bill from wherever.
Go Bill.
Jersey.
Go Bill. And so we're going to go through personal accomplishments of mine in the year 2024, both related to the YouTube channel and also some stuff that's a little bit off the beaten path, but I thought you guys should know about. And we will get into all of that in due course. On the YouTube channel front, I think we're going to talk about this a little bit towards the end of the show, but one of the things that's been in the pipeline is an expansion pack for the Philadelphia 4K video series, which came out in the fall, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. So there's going to be new stuff related to that, filmed both in the daytime and in the nighttime. So you're going to get one of the things that was really cool about creating the 4K compatibility with the channel was that the GoPro does enable some pretty nice nighttime video footage. So that was sort of an unintended consequence of everything. So a full appraisal of the Philadelphia Expressway system is coming in nighttime. You've already seen it in daytime if you follow the channel, but there will be nighttime video as well. There's also some new stuff from Delaware that's going to make its appearance on the channel in January or February. We'll have to see what happens with that. And as far as Gribble Nation is concerned, well, that's why we have you here. What do we have?
I've been working on my big trip pages from 2024. I did a trip up to Quebec at one point. I already posted that. Did a trip to Kentucky that I'm starting to work on. And of course, my big trip from 2024. You've probably seen pictures of it if you follow us on Facebook. I went to Alberta and British Columbia and also Saskatchewan for 5 minutes back in September. But yeah, that is like the Canadian Rockies, Calgary, Edmonton, going out to Vancouver. You really do need to head out there at some point.
Yeah, the Canadian Rockies is a place I'd like to get to at some point.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, you would.
Well, it's not you'd like to. You need to.
Yeah. Right.
Not a want. You need to.
Yeah.
I'll do this.
The rights to the channel will be revoked if you do not.
Okay, so that's what we have on tap tonight. So let's get started. So, mix of live and standard content. Very quick, I'll run through some of these metrics for you. Only one road meet that I went to in 2024. and you'll never guess who the host was. You want to put that in as your guess, huh?
Wow,
Yeah.
spoiler alert.
You said
Okay.
never, so yeah.
Oh, okay. New Orleans, Louisiana, which was in February. And it was a really successful event. I was really happy to see that so many people made the trip. I'll say more about this in a little bit, but that was the one meet that I went to. As far as videos published, we had 1,540 videos published in 2024. The big thing to remember for this past year was this was the first full year of the GoPro being in the mix, so that meant that you got 4K video, and there will be more discussion on that in a little bit. The net change in subscribers was plus 3,457. Which actually was the second highest net gain in channel history. I think only the year 2018 was higher than that. 10 million views. That's the second time in channel history where that milestone was hit. Actually, to be honest, it's the second time in 3 years. 2022 was the first time, and 2024 also surpassed the 10 million views milestone. So
Thank you to our 10 million viewers right now.
I'm
Yes.
I'm very happy.
10 million Roadway Whiz viewers
Wow.
can't be wrong.
10 million strong
And growing.
I thought of the same exact thing.
But I feel like I say this every year that, you know, the state of the channel is very strong and it's continuing to grow. We're continuing to reach new markets and new people and new viewers all the time. And
to bolt to go where no one has gone before.
and yeah, well, I mean, in a way, I'm not afraid to go to different places. And to that point, you see on the screen here, the most popular video of the year was my Rainbow Bridge video from Port Arthur, Texas. That's kind of been the top video. For whatever reason, that video has broken the algorithm and people have seen it in droves over the years. You know what the second highest viewed video of 2024 was?
Well, you would know.
I know. I'm wondering if you guys want to take a guess. Think like off the beaten path.
Were you crossing the Sierra, Illinois?
No, you know that is the Sierra, Illinois. That's not a bad guess, but that's not correct. Bill, before you fall asleep in that recliner of yours, do you have a guess?
It's comfy recliner.
I do not,
Okay.
unfortunately.
It's one of the full-length Interstate videos for Interstate H1 in Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know,
All right.
I'm very happy that those videos are doing really well. I mean, what do I care if I-95 in Pennsylvania does well?
Yeah.
But to see,
I want it to fall into the ground and yeah.
but I'm really glad to see that videos like that were like trailblazers for that part of the world, that they're doing well. And so that tells me that this channel has a wide reach of not only viewers, but, you know, a lot of different interests, maybe. You know, people want to see what's halfway around the world from their computer screen, and then that means a lot. And they're choosing this channel to see that.
We should start gospel music right now. Doing amen, brother.
Hallelujah.
Well, I don't want this channel to get a copyright strike, so I'm not going to do that. But
we can croon.
yeah, I mean, but I guess the point being that it's really cool to see the growth of the channel over the years and how we're getting a lot of interest in places that are far flung. You know, like Hawaii, like Washington State has seen a bump in interest lately. You know, it's places like that I care a lot about as well. All right. New Orleans National Road Meet, February 2024, as we go through our year in review here.
And most of those people.
I would think you would. Yeah.
Now you have the beads on your neck. What do you have to do for the beads?
What do you mean? What did I have to do for them?
You know, Mardi Gras tradition, someone puts beads around your neck. So what did you do for the beads?
I didn't do shit. But what happened was
fail.
Well, so this meet was the week after Mardi Gras, actually. So beads were in plentiful supply.
When the
They were
beads-
just giving them away.
When the beads go around
Yeah,
your
so-
neck,
That's
Probably like half-price beats. Like, after
Yeah.
Christmas, there's like half-price candy. Like after Mardi Gras, there's probably half-price beats.
or we had sales recently were 90% off.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So, honestly, you want to know how I got those beads? I went into my hotel lobby over in Gretna, Louisiana, right over the bridge from the city. And there was just this big bin
oh gosh.
that was just beads. Like, that's
Yeah.
all it was. And they were like, hey, take them. Because we can't do anything with them because Mardi Gras was 5 days ago, so we can't do anything with them now.
It
So
reminds me of when I was going cross country, and it was Halloween night, and I was stopped in Elko, Nevada. Elko, Nevada.
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 Yeah. And basically, they told all the guests to take all the candy because no one was stopping to take the candy.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of candy back with me to Oregon.
Yep.
Yeah, so like if you look at this picture on the left, this was from day 1 on the left, and then on the right is day 2. I was really happy to see that we had the crowd that we had.
And for those
Um,
listening who are not aware, it is a tradition. When we call something a national meet, we plan to have 2 days of meet activities to see whatever is going to be seen. So,
And the thing that I really liked about New Orleans was that one, it was a city that I am very passionate about, and the other thing is that it's relatively open country as far as road meets are concerned. Like there really hadn't been a meet there
that's true.
before, so I kind of had a blank slate to work with. So on the left, on day 1, that's the lower Ninth Ward and the levee in front of the industrial canal. And on day 2, that's the photo on the right, that's the I-310 bridge in Luling, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Built rusty.
We did a day like on the one side of the river, and then the second day was on the other side of the river. That's how we did it.
Did you do 510 and the closed Six Flags? And
We drove by Six Flags on the first day. Yeah.
okay.
So we kind of did a little bit of a loop there.
Yeah, and I stopped there. But unfortunately, you really can't get in there. But to see the abandonment is something else. So
Yeah.
I had quite a time down there.
Oh, it was a blast, and we always have a great group of people who get together for these things. And
I think the one on the right would be angry that you said that.
yeah, well, but he's always angry. So
Yeah.
who am I kidding?
He's angry that I just brought that up.
Those highlights from day 2. That's the ferry memorial there, and then that's the new high-rise Belle Chase Bridge that's replacing the Belle Chase Tunnel.
Shots.
So that was a day 2 highlight. I would say the next, if we're going in chronological order, the next big thing that happened in 2024 was the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. I did a webinar on this subject with Laura of mdroads.com. You can go back and watch it if you haven't already watched it. Yeah, there's a podcast where
Gribble Lunch Broadcast.
there was a segment devoted to that. Yeah, so we did a lot of coverage in the moment about the collapse of the bridge and what the future implications and what the steps forward were going to be. So I encourage you to check that episode out if you'd like, if you haven't already seen it. It was shocking at the time when it happened, at the end of March. And I know that it's still very odd for a lot of people, who come to southeastern Baltimore Metro and expecting to see the bridge there, and it's not there anymore. So, but plans are in the works for a replacement bridge that will begin construction hopefully in next year at some point, early next year. Mm-hmm. Completion, they're saying, is late 2028. That's what they're shooting for. It would not surprise me if that gets pushed back a little bit because of the way that the construction business works nowadays, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
Could also get pushed forward depending on the style they end up building. They might have some, I mean, you look at the what those of us up here would still call the Tappan Zee, but that you push part of the bridge ahead so that people can get on it sooner, and we will wait and see what they do here. There's a lot of questions with design build projects and the schedules and when the public can use them, and it's hard to draw anything until it actually happens. So as an engineer, I'm excited to see what they do end up with.
And as an engineer, I can say that I agree with you.
Yeah.
The leading candidate in the clubhouse right now appears to be a high-rise cable-stayed bridge that will be built taller than the original bridge was and with probably a longer main span than the original. But the final design has yet to be revealed. And once that happens, all sorts of teams will be brought together, consultants, sub-consultants, subcontractors,
Yeah.
and they will get to work on this next year.
So we're talking about that before this episode about what the new bridge might look like. You have the existing pier foundations there in the river. You have the existing approaches. And I am an engineer. I'm not a bridge engineer, though, but from working with them, my thought is that you would try to line up the proposed piers with the existing. You've already got these breaks in the waterway. You've got your defined path for shipping. You can raise it taller. Certainly, you can't reuse the approaches in raising it, but that you would go next to it and use the existing piers as a build next to those locations, because that's a natural fit for the existing channels that are out there. So you can feel free to quote me on this since I'm not saying my name right now, but my guess is that what they're going to put in here is going to mirror the pier locations. The approaches may be fewer piers to be determined how they're going to design the approaches, but that it will go just next to the existing bridge. If you look at the top left, it seems like it would line up just to the left, but you've got the power lines there. It remains to be seen how they're going to design it. The other thing I want to speak to is design build is an interesting realm. So I'm on the design side of things, and I'm sure there are viewers now on the construction side. The construction contractor is an active participant in design when it comes to design build, because as the designer is working through final design plans, the contractor's already out there getting the site ready, giving feedback, saying, well, based on what we're seeing out here, you could design it this way. We can save some time and money by doing this or that. And these things work best when it's very hand in hand working together. If the designer wants to believe that they are best, design build will take forever, use up too much money. If they can work together, it will go faster, it will work smoother, you'll get a better product. So fingers crossed that the team that wins this is a team that's going to work together and come up with something spectacular to welcome people back.
Well, that's the whole idea behind design build also, is that it overlaps and streamlines that whole communication between the design firm and the construction firm.
When done right.
Yeah.
When you got the right...
That's important.
With the right firms who understand each other and work together right, yes.
And I will say
I've seen both.
Oh, I have too.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, as far as, like, for example, the new tap, for instance, like the new Tappan Zee Bridge, they were out there with test borings constantly, like looking at the data, looking at foundation depth and all that stuff. So, they were in contact with the contractor and they were like, okay, this is what we need. This is what we need you guys to come up with. And then they were on the same page from the beginning. That's the kind of thing that they need to have here in Baltimore. So I believe a prime contractor has been selected for this. It's just a question of filling out the subcontractors and the consultants at this point. But I would expect that once a final design is selected, probably sometime over the winter, you will see the subs fall into line, and then you will see some sort of groundbreaking take place early in the spring next year.
I'm seeing that the design build company is Kiewit, which is about as surprising as learning that peppermint tastes like peppermint.
Well, I mean, if you
Kiewit wins approximately 105% of design build projects.
And Kiewit has experience with large-scale cable-stayed design-build projects.
Yes, they do.
So, we saw them up here in the New York area. We've seen them at work with, I believe, were they involved in the Kosciuszko?
They've been involved, as I said.
I know they were in on the Goffles, but were they in on the?
Like they've been everywhere.
They're all over the place, right?
I've dealt with
yeah,
Skanska, Kiewit, or
everywhere, man.
just Skanska. There.
they could have Johnny Cash as their spokesman.
As far as I'm
yeah.
They
concerned,
should.
Yeah.
Kiewit is a household name, and it's always good to see a company that you know has a lot of experience with something like this. That's going to lead to better results because they know how design build runs. They've done enough projects in this level.
Yeah, so I have a full vote of confidence
Yes.
with them being in charge.
Agreed.
Yep. Then in May, if we continue in chronological order, there was the publication of the 25th anniversary edition of a little book that I came up with. The Road Meets Illustrated History, which chronicles the first 25 years of the road enthusiast community through the pictures taken at road enthusiast meetings. And so that was fun to put together over the weekend and early spring. Adam Prince contributed the foreword to it. I contributed a few words in the introduction. And the way that the book was set up, it was mostly just the pictures. I let the pictures speak for themselves. I let the pictures dominate the presentation, and then I had the list of the road meets per year.
If I may ask the person next to me, who pioneered the Send Help sign?
Well, I first found the Send Help sign at the Clifton Park rest area of the Northway. So I grabbed a bunch and gave them out to me. This is like 2005, 2006. And I think at some point we decided to start using them basically in the pictures. The funny thing is, basically a lot of people know that. One of our friends, unfortunately, his wife passed away over the summer, and I went to the celebration of life. His wife's mother came up to me and basically remembered the Send Help signs and was talking about the Send Help signs.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's a good way
It is cool.
Yeah.
Because they are kind of like the feature of these pictures.
Right.
They're like the one thing that everybody recognizes. Because people change and locations change over the years, and
Right.
there's generational turnover as well. But the Send Help sign has sort of become like the main fixture. I was also happy to partner in the creation of the 25th anniversary Road Meet lanyards, which you see on the lower right of your screen. That was a limited edition production that I was able to keep in-house in the road enthusiast community. I have Jason from New Orleans, who is a road enthusiast himself, and so he printed those out for us. And so they came out very well, and I'm glad that I was able to do that for everybody. So
We're raising our hands that we've all got those ourselves. You can't
Finally.
you were the last one, actually.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
I mean, basically during the summer and the fall, you just have to go. Usually, you have to find your way up some random mountain and look for me.
Yeah, that's not easy for me to do. So
That's easy for a lot of people to do.
I'm glad that you came to the lunch before the state championship game in Connecticut, so I could finally here take this off my hands, will you?
I feel like you go chasing the waterfalls a lot.
I saw one today, actually.
And why don't we stick to the rivers and the lakes that we're used to?
I saw those too.
Okay.
Something else to keep an eye on, and this is something that I will probably follow up with on next year's program. I might even do a separate webinar just devoted to this. I have enough content where I could do that. The construction of North America's largest cable stayed bridge, the Gordie Howe International Bridge between Detroit, Michigan, and Windsor, Ontario. I visited the site around Labor Day weekend in this past year. This was shortly after they had connected the two half spans in the middle, so it was a full bridge by this point. They are aiming for this bridge to be open they're saying the fall of 2025, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. It might be sooner than that. I think it depends a lot on what happens with the ports of entry, if those are ready to go first or not.
Weather too.
Weather is a factor as well. So stay tuned on that. We might have an opening day. We might have an opening day in 2025. We might have opening crossing videos in 2025.
I was going to say, are we going to have an opening day presentation?
I don't know about opening day presentation, but
We plan to attend opening day ceremonies.
For you.
No, that's us.
Steve, you have volunteered your services as far as I'm concerned. So
Yeah.
feel free to take the lead on this.
You can guess the one international bridge I have never crossed and never will. Unless it changes hands.
The Ambassador Bridge.
Exactly.
Ah, okay.
So
Have
I
you
am
been through the
excited.
tunnel?
I am excited. I've been through the tunnel. Yes, I am excited for this bridge to open so I can cross a bridge in this area without having to pay.
I've been to Windsor once, and I did cross that bridge, unfortunately. I usually, when I go to Michigan and I drive across Ontario, I usually just go take the Blue Water Bridge.
The tunnels were well worth it. It's they're old school in their design, even if they're not themselves that old, but
Yeah.
kind of tight radii and a narrow feeling tunnel to it. So
I have done the Ambassador and the tunnel at this point. Yeah. The tunnel was an interesting experience. Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to driving this new bridge, maybe as early as next year, and putting some new video of it on the channel for you guys.
I may be narrating part of it.
Maybe, we'll see.
Um,
He's gonna ride in the passenger seat with me, just so that he doesn't have to pay the toll. That's how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know that I fully intend to be there for this. So my Michigan friends and listeners can plan on me.
Speaking of things to keep an eye on and stay tuned to, this is going to be a little bit off the roads path for a couple of minutes.
Nautical roads.
So,
Road to the sea.
One of the things that I've been paying attention to for a couple of years now is the fate of the SS United States ocean liner, which has been sitting at a dock in Philadelphia for the last 28 years. It arrived in 1996, believe it or not, and it's been sitting in the same location ever since. There is finally movement on a proposal to have it sent to the Gulf of Mexico to be sunk as an artificial reef. In the summer of 2024, I got the chance to go aboard the ship, not once, but twice. And the first time I went aboard, I just brought my Canon camera and I documented the hell out of anything I could get my hands on. I didn't know about the second time. The second time sort of happened out of nowhere, and I said, okay, I'm going to bring my GoPro. And so I shot a whole lot of video the second time. There is roughly, I would say, 2 hours worth of documentary style footage available for use in some sort of presentation. For those of you who don't know, and this is something that I could probably do an episode on by itself, but the SS United States was a transatlantic ocean liner commissioned in 1952 in the years after World War II. On her maiden voyage in July 1952, she broke the transatlantic speed record, crossing from New York to France in 3.5 days. That is a record that still stands to this day and is unlikely to ever be surpassed.
Asterisk only applies to ships, not airplanes.
Well, commercial ocean liners is what we're talking about. But to cross the Atlantic in 3.5 days when the previous record was like 4 days, so by clipping 10 hours off the transatlantic travel time, let's just say that that's a lot. Yeah. The technology used in the construction of this ship, the ship was built to basically Navy specifications, and the engines used in this ship were built for aircraft carriers. And frankly, she was a Navy ship in all but name. She served her entire career as a commercial ocean liner, but she was built under the naval guidance in the event that she was ever to be used as a troop transport ship. That was the real use that the Navy thought that she would be good for. But she was retired from use at the end of the 1969 season, and believe it or not, the last time that this ship ever carried a paying passenger was when the Beatles were still an active band.
And it also...
if you think about it that way.
And the ship also carried my grandfather as a passenger.
Yeah, you were telling me before we went on the air, yeah.
In November 1956, my brother found a passenger log and he was on that log.
Well, that's going to become a very valuable piece of family history,
Yeah.
I think, as we move forward. So,
That's all I
Oh.
know from my brother on that.
so I would like to, so that the plan is to move this ship from Philadelphia at some point in the next few months, and I would like to be present when that happens. One of the reasons I've been holding up a blog article on this ship on GribbleNation.org is because I want to have the move out of Philadelphia be a part of it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm sitting on all of this footage of it. But and there's a webinar and there's a documentary that could be a part of this as well. So I will be keeping an eye on what's going on in the weeks ahead for sure. And stay tuned for this if you're looking for something a little different on the channel. Speaking of something different, I will try not to spend a lot of time on this, but one of the reasons why, if you follow my Facebook page, you didn't hear a lot from me this fall is because I was a little busy. I had a different gig this fall. I was asked to be the color commentator on the Greenwich Cardinals football radio network. And what this is, let me just give you a little bit of an overview. Greenwich High School in Greenwich, Connecticut, they've had a radio broadcast of all their football games going back many, many years. Like, I forget how far back it goes. It was way before my broadcast partner ever became a part of it in the early 2000s. It goes back to like the 70s or 80s, something like that, maybe even earlier than that. So his longtime partner left. He moved down to North Carolina. So he needed a new broadcast partner. And he knew me, and he knew that I was interested in the medium of broadcasting and radio and stuff like that. So he said, well, you know what? Why don't you give it a shot for a season and see how it goes? So me being a dumb idiot, I'm like, yeah, why not? I don't know what I'm getting into. Well, I freaking loved it.
You're on the right side of the river for it. I'm jealous.
I suppose that's true, but, you know,
I
we have made it clear that you are welcome in the broadcast booth.
would have to get across the river.
Yeah, well, I can't help you with that part, but
And another did you know for WGCH, the co-owner for the Islanders, John Ledecky, who is Katie Ledecky's uncle, was apparently an intern at WGCH years ago.
Katie, if you're listening to this,
Steve Alpert would like to meet you.
We're single. Just put your number in the chat. We'll get in touch.
Yeah, I'm sure she's watching.
Yeah. And your broadcast partner had a chance to meet him and said he was very good to talk to.
Yeah, well, he's a friend of the program. He's a friend of the road enthusiast community.
Well, I'm talking about John Ledecky.
Oh, never mind. I don't know about him, but... So anyway, long story short, the Greenwich Cardinals made it to the state championship game in mid-December, and they won. They won 14-0 in the title game against West Haven. They were Class Double L champions in my first year as a broadcaster, which
100%.
Hey, if you didn't believe in beginner's luck, now I think you do, right? But it was just a great experience. Like, here's a picture in week 1 in the upper left.
I like the picture at the lower right.
I'll get to that in a second.
In the action.
The upper left photo, that's week 1. You know who we're playing in week 1? We're playing West Haven. So the championship game kind of went full circle. We were playing the same team we played in the first game of the season. The picture in the upper right, that was me before the West Hill Senior Day game. And the reason why it gets included is because I did the play-by-play for that game. Because Rob had to be somewhere else. He was covering some other dopey game. I forget what he was doing. He was being a slacker somewhere else. So only one of the two of us got to see every snap of Greenwich Cardinals football this season, and it wasn't Rob. So
Wow.
How about that? Yeah. So take that, Rob. So that was the picture there. And then in the lower right, that was us debriefing in the post game after the first playoff game. We hosted the wild card weekend game. I call it wild card. It It was the quarterfinals because in Connecticut you have the round of 8 in the playoffs. So we were the host for the first playoff game. So we were just we were just talking over what we had seen. Greenwich had defeated New Britain by the score of 27-6 in that game. And that picture was taken by the great Sean Adams, of course. So I have to give him a shout out as well. Picture in the upper left here is again after the New Britain game. That might be a profile picture for me at some point. That was the end of the last home game of the season, so I think
the previous page was a profile photo, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this one either.
I think that will get you hits on your resume. I think that's the one.
You think this one will?
I would hire you for that one.
Yeah, okay. I've got a great face for radio, right?
We all do.
And then in the lower right, that was the semifinal game the next week up at Staples High School in Westport, where the Greenwich Cardinals shocked the world and upset Staples 14-0 to earn their spot in the state championship game.
Yeah, they've got that.
And then the next week, we beat West Haven in the state championship in the rematch of week 1, and it was by the same score, 14-0, to win their 10th state championship since 1982. And it was just such a pleasure to cover this team and to do something different. Like I sort of feel like doing these webinars has sort of primed me for doing broadcasting.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a lot of the same thing. You're talking to an audience and you're just sort of like telling them what you see at the same time.
Thank you to all of our viewers who have helped shape us over the years to make us better broadcasters to facilitate this moment for you.
Plus also the preparation, too.
So that's something else I want to talk about for a quick second, and then we'll move on, is that to be an analyst for this, it requires a lot of preparation, a lot more than you would think.
You got to look at all the statistics and the positions and the...
As long as they give you a roster for the other team.
Rosters were half the battle, I would say. Yeah, sometimes we didn't have a good roster to go on. It's
here's paging 7.
Paging West Hill. Rosters, preparing stats, video highlights if they're available. That's something else that I really like to look into. Don't forget, this day we covered 2 games. We did the Class Double L with Greenwich, and then we also did the undercard game, which was New Canaan against Darien, which is a 100-year-long rivalry or whatever that is. So that was an interesting game to cover. And then after that, we did the nightcap here with Greenwich. So to be asked to do both those games on Championship Saturday in Connecticut, it was quite an honor, and I was very happy to be a part of it. And I have to say that considering it was my first full year of doing broadcasting, I think I did pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to next season. And I think I was looking at the counter on the Greenwich High School football website. There's roughly 250 days until opening day next season. So I'm already looking at film for Fairfield Prep. That's going to be their week 1 opponent.
You're not their coach yet.
No, but I'm their broadcaster. So I got to know what I'm looking at.
But they're not going to listen to you until you sign up to be their coach next year.
I don't care if they listen to me. I just want to know what I'm talking about when I'm on the air.
I just want you to be their coach.
Well, but I don't know about coach, though. That's a bit of a stretch. Who wants to listen to a road enthusiast talk to them about football? It doesn't really...
Just tell them to play their game. And
hey, man, you get the football and run that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got it. You're all set.
Exactly. All right. So that's a bit of what was happening around the channel this year. No new states in 2024. We reached 50 out of 50 a year ago.
You didn't go to Puerto Rico.
Well, Puerto Rico's not a state. Why would I list that?
You have as territories.
I mean, I'll let you do that. How's that sound?
I've already been.
The revisited metro areas you see in bold and in highlight, those are mainly added for 4K purposes. I think the vast majority of this stuff has made it onto YouTube, with the exception of a couple of locations, mainly the last three that are listed. But I think pretty much everything else that I filmed in 2024 made it onto the channel. And the rest of that will be added in 2025. And frankly, New York City hasn't seen much. I don't know that I've had any of the stuff from New York onto the channel, but that'll be added in 25.
Did you have a horseshoe sandwich while you were in Springfield?
I don't even know what a horseshoe sandwich is.
It's an open-faced sandwich originating in Springfield, Illinois. It consists of thick sliced toasted bread like Texas toast, a hamburger patty or other choice of meat, French fries, and cheese sauce. And it's basically the fries and the potato wedges are arranged like a horseshoe like arrangement.
I can't say that I've had one of those. So
It's supposed to be delicious.
well, I'm sure it is. That sounds good.
Yeah, I'd eat it.
As I'm sure would everybody else in the room. So anyway, recapping the big road trips from 2024. February was the Florida / Gulf Coast / New Orleans road meet trip. I would say everything west of Florida was added for the purposes of 4K content. There were additions and updates made to the I-4 corridor in Tampa, Orlando, and Daytona Beach, as well as Jacksonville. And also the completion of I-10 and I-75 in the state of Florida, which introduced Florida to the 100% coverage bracket in the interstate highway system map. I'll come back to that in a little bit. Memorial Day weekend was a bit of a weird trip. This was out to Oregon and California primarily. Flew into Portland, drove down to Sacramento on I-5, and then
Waved hi to my mom on the way.
I could have, yeah.
Yeah, she's in Salem.
Yeah, right. And then drove all of I-80 in the state of Nevada. The thing that was weird about
the bridge.
Yeah.
I love that.
Another bridge I need to do a blog article on Gribble Nation about.
We have one actually.
Do we?
Maybe Tom. I've been to the bridge too, so
Yeah. Somebody's got to have something on this. But
Raise your hand if you haven't been to the bridge. He's sleeping, so
that recliner is deadly.
yeah.
Yeah. So I knew
the recliner usually is.
I knew that was gonna happen. I ended up flying home a day earlier than I expected because of severe weather in the east. So that sort of made the end of this trip a bit of a weird flex, but it ended up being okay in the end. July was an I-90 clinch-a-thon trip. I flew to Chicago and then drove all the way out to Washington State along I-90. And then came back east, roughly along I-94, with a couple of changes in the mix there, and achieved 100% coverage of I-90 nationally, along with I-94, and then 39 and 43 in Wisconsin. The signature picture of this trip, I would say, is the Grand Coulee Dam in Washington State.
Nice dam.
That's nice.
And if you ever get the chance to do the tour of the dam, that's something that's worth doing.
I did not. I've been to the dam twice. I've been to the visitor center, but I have not done the tour. And the last time was just because they weren't running tours because of COVID.
Right. Yeah, the way they do tours is a little bit weird because it's first come, first serve. There's no like reservation system. So you kind of just have to show up and hope that they're doing tours that day.
Did you take, by chance, did you wind up taking Route 155 north to the Grand Coulee Dam? Because that's a really nice drive, like along the reservoir there.
I feel like I took 155 at some point. I don't.
Yeah, well, that's the
Top of my. I took 17. I know that through the whatever they call that.
Coulee corridor.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I sort of came up that way. So Grand Coulee Dam, one of the great engineering achievements in this country. If you haven't already been to see that, this is something that should be on your list. And then over Memorial Day weekend, I had a very Illinoisan clinch-a-thon.
Oh, flat.
In the state of Illinois, which was very flat and very uninteresting.
I
But
disagree.
I would say that it was kind of like I was at the point where I was like, well, let's just get it over with. And so I just sucked it up and had 5 days in the state of Illinois. So I added mileage to all the mainline interstates you see here, and got more 3DIs done. And let's see, I-57, 72, and 39 were completed in full as a
But
result of
these
this
are
trip.
outside Chicagoland. Are you saying that you saw the rest of Illinois?
The play in Peoria.
Well, I like to think that people in Peoria will watch this channel.
Yeah.
So,
I'll have to send her a text to say.
yeah. I would say the highlight, though, for me, outside of Chicago, was seeing the new I-74 bridge on the Mississippi River.
That is a nice word. I got to drive it in 2023.
Old Bridge is much nicer.
Well, that was a classic bridge, too, so.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a really cool bridge to see. I saw it while it was under construction a few years ago, but it was really cool to drive it. And I can say that I've driven and filmed both the old and new bridges.
Yeah.
So,
And in the evening and night, they actually will light up the bridge in different colors, so you got some nice mood lighting.
yeah, I can see how that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, that to me, that's the signature photo of that trip. Because the rest of Illinois is stupid and boring. So,
Well, you do got the Sierra, Illinois.
the Sierra, Illinois, yeah, along I-72, where there's that little grade for a couple of miles, yeah. Oh, boy.
Which the Donner Party might have actually crossed because it started in Springfield.
Tell you know what? The Donner Party probably thought they had it made going over the Sierra, Illinois. They were like, man, if we can survive this, we can survive anything.
Party of 8, 7.
But they did not know the Sierra, Illinois. Sierra Nevada, rather. So where you can find me on social media, which is neither social nor media. I'm on YouTube, as obviously I hope you know by this point. I have a Facebook page at Roadway Whiz. Why is your hand up right now? Oh, okay. I have an Instagram page, which I haven't updated in forever, but maybe I'll update that at some point. Spotify via the Gribble Nation Roadcast. It's our podcast that I've partnered with the guys over at gribblenation.org.
Which we need to do some episodes for, but that's...
Yeah, Doug.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we're maybe going to update that at some point. There's some gear that you can find on Spreadshirt. There's a Twitch channel. There's a Twitch account that I might be doing some stuff on in 2025. We'll have to see. And there's the Discord server as well. That was not your invitation to start twitching. No, sorry. What's on tap in 2025? I would say that the nearest thing right now is my winter road trip. I might be getting the Twitch channel off the ground in 2025, and the reason I say that is because I upgraded to a new laptop recently, and it's one that can actually support gaming. So I might actually be screwing around with that a little bit. I have a Steam account, and I've been downloading some stuff. So I might actually start doing some legitimate stuff over on that account in the near future.
It's getting steamy in here.
It might be, yeah. So,
Don't take off all your clothes.
Yes, please don't.
Bill, you're awake. Nice to have you join us. Yeah. So,
Well, I'm in the sleeping chair. I can't help it.
yeah, well, I was saying to these guys while you were passed out over there that that chair is deadly.
It is.
So, yeah, there's
Silent but deadly.
Yes.
No, that's me.
So, as you can probably tell, the latest series of live programming is underway. I don't have really any guidelines for what this latest round is going to look like, as you will probably be able to tell. There is nothing scheduled beyond this week, but that's something that I'm certainly looking into. And one of the things that I might emphasize this year is pre-recorded episodes, where I just sit down and I record something during the week and then I publish it on the weekend. Just something simple like that. There are plenty of cities that would fit that role as well. The winter road trip, bless you, is planned at this point in February of this coming year. It's looking very much like it will be the Ohio Valley that will be the subject this time around.
It's hardly a TBA.
It hasn't been finalized yet, but that is the way that it's leaning right now. As it sits right now, I'm at about 89.9% completed with the interstate highway system. So this new round of trips will be aimed at completing that system 100%, which I believe I can do in the next 2 years. We will see what happens with that. To further the point, here's this map. This shows the states highlighted in green that I've completed 100%. Coast to coast, more or less, you could say. I look to add roughly 8 to 10 new states to that list this year. And who knows, maybe more than that even. But
Brazil only has like 2, so you're good.
Some of these states only have like one route that I have to do. Yeah. So
it only has one route, period. Pretty much.
Yes. So, I for example, Arizona, I'm only missing I-10 west of Phoenix. And then like in Minnesota, it's 35 north of the Twin Cities, and it's in Ohio, it's I-77.
You're missing the best one in Minnesota.
Yeah, sorry, but
and the worst one in Ohio.
There's not a whole lot that's left to do ultimately as far as mileage is concerned. So
all right, and then you could focus on other things.
In North Carolina, you'll never get to 100% because they'll just open a new one.
Yeah, North Carolina might be perpetually in progress at the rate that they're adding new mileage to the interstate system. But I do like the idea of saying to myself at some point, as we look at my travel mapping account and we see what's been covered and what hasn't been covered, I would like to get to the point where I can say, on this particular day, I had 100%. And then whatever happens after that happens. Maybe I keep up with everything as it comes online. Maybe I don't. It's open-ended after that.
Missing a lot of wheat over there.
Missing a lot of what now?
Wheat. I-80.
Yeah, there's a lot of 80 that's missing.
Yeah.
The I-15, you're missing some good stuff there. The Zizix Road.
15 in California.
You have not been to Zizix Road.
I've not been to Zizix Road.
You have to go. That's a staple.
Yeah,
you could do like non-interstate things, like you can drive like Big Sur or something like that afterwards.
And I could come Tom Fuhrer's house.
Yeah. You could.
That would make it fun.
Furious, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. So that's where we're heading, I think, in the next couple of years.
Oh, you didn't do I-2. Well, we need an I-2 presentation from you.
Well, you might get one in the next couple of years.
We need it.
These are potential episodes that are in the pipeline. It doesn't mean that they all will happen. It doesn't mean that there aren't episodes that are not pictured here that I might throw into the mix and do over top of these instead. But this goes to show that there is stuff that's in the pipeline, and I'm continuing to work on potential future live programs for you folks. So that's what you guys have to keep in mind as we move forward here through the winter.
That one at the bottom left there didn't look like a whole lot of roads.
Well, road does go through Appomattox.
Yeah, so
go through
but you've had a history of sometimes doing some less road related things.
Yeah,
you got to keep people on their toes.
So are you looking towards something more like that with a historical presentation?
Well, what's interesting is that with the one on the lower left, there is a direct overlap between bill movements and state highways / U.S. routes. So you can do it that way. There's ways to integrate both, I think.
The Appomattox was the last county or even county equivalent that I clinched in Virginia.
Or when I was a kid, it was Appomattox. I saw the letters. And I said, it's a.
I do that from time to time.
Well, pox on you.
On both your houses.
Here's the 2025 road meet calendar. This is what we've got confirmed at this point versus what's been thrown around. You know, the thing, and I'm gonna turn you guys loose here in a couple of seconds here,
Okay.
but I really don't like the way that this is going, the way that this is trending, where you have people announcing stuff like 8 to 12 months in advance. And the way that things are set up right now, if you look at the AA Roads Forum and how things are situated, you've got like 12 to 14 road meets already before the calendar even turned to the year 2025. So
It's
I
less than
think that one
but-
of the problems that I see is that people are getting a little too overzealous. People are thinking they're going to do something when maybe they're not. And I think that we need to really rethink this whole thing about announcing things so far in advance.
When
I am actually in favor of a hard cap of 6 months. And some people might not like that,
Yeah.
but I think that it's a little silly to announce something in September, October for something a year from now when you have no idea what's going to be going on in your life a year from now. What's going to be going on, hell, 6 months from now.
It's true, and what we've run into in the past, going back to the MTR days, multiple meets scheduled on the same day. Now back then it was, oh, this is in the central US and this one's in the east, so they won't overlap. But where it turned into is, well, if you announce in advance and you can set a date earlier, so you see we're already out in May here, but set that date, then those of us who are planning meets who haven't yet figured out a date can say, all right, let's work around that and not put one right then. So Alabama, California, you're not going to see an overlap of people by and large.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have another one listed here for possibly April, and now that person can look at this and says, well, you've only got 2 weekends between Sacramento and Mobile. Maybe I won't do April. Maybe I'll do it sometime in May to give some separation. So people who know that they want to do it, this is going to be a talking point for a long time of, is it too soon or do we get a benefit from it? And I think different people have different opinions on the matter. Now, I'm the person who actually started the 2025 meets thread on AA Roads because it is something that we do every year and not intended to hope people to schedule it right away, but just as we go through
Have it out
2025
there,
to gather it into one place. There's only about 10 total meets on there. There's 3 of them that have not been scheduled in the least, may not happen. But if someone says, I am planning this and I am planning it to be around this time, we give a rough time frame, and as we get closer, that can be finalized or moved. But the intent is to keep it all in one place so that as people plan meets, they can nail down a date. They can say, all right, let's avoid this other date. But no, it's not. It's something where as we get closer to August, the planned Brattleboro meet, if that moves by a couple of weeks, the final date probably won't be set until April, and that's okay. But it gives people an idea. We'll expect this meet around that time. So I personally am in favor of getting things on a rough calendar to start and refining it as we go. That's my take.
I know that in the beginning, or basically, I would say, more so back in the MTR days, meets were only announced a couple months in advance because it was more for people who might have been just traveling from like a few hours, like locally or a few hours away. As time has gone on, you do get people who they actually plan their vacation time around meets, and some employers you have to put in your time like basically for the year, and basically so some people want to have the meets. They want to know when the meets are going to take place ahead of time so they can plan accordingly. I am more in the favor of just announcing something too, just a couple months in advance, because if I'm planning a meet, I don't know, and it's January 4th right now. I don't necessarily know what I'm going to be doing in May. When it comes to March, I might have a better idea, basically what I'm doing in May. So that's just my personal take on it. But I can see, where some people want to get things out of the way, so that way they know that they can start planning, and then other people can start planning. But I still think basically, I'm going to know something a couple months in advance, a lot more than like 6 or 12 months in advance.
And I think that Steve makes some good points, and you make some good points as well. But I do think that there needs to be some sort of regulation of what goes on here, because it does feel like some stuff is a little bit haphazard. It's a little bit shoot from the hip. It's a little bit random. It's a little bit.
We're the Wild West of hobbies, though, with these things.
I mean, I get that, but you still, with this stuff in particular, I think you still want it to be. You still want it to be orderly. You still want there to be some sort of sensible progression here. You don't want 20 people jumping in and saying, "I might do something."
Right, like I've had
Because then what happens is that the 20 people look at each other and say, "Are you doing something? Like, are you?"
like I've had instances like, "Oh, I want to have meeting." Then things happen where I'm like, "Okay, I can't have this meet because."
Because then the problem that happens is that if you have 20 people looking at each other, say after saying that they were going to do something, is that then nobody wants to make a decision.
Right.
And that's not good either. I think there needs to be some better streamlined way of doing this where maybe, and I know I've suggested this before, and I don't know, people may not be in the mood to hear this, but nominate hosts. Nominate a host. Like everybody in the room gets a ballot. You pick 7 hosts. And you say 7 people. Okay, this person, this person, this person. Okay, you guys are the hosts. You decide where you're doing it. You delegate 1 meet to California because that's the going rate right now. Okay, so we'll give Tom his California meet and he can do what he wants with it. He can run with it.
I'm giving the California meet to Doug. Tom's going to have to pick a different state.
I think you can do the Winnipeg meet.
There you go.
That's it. Back to Winnipeg.
Winnipeg is a perfect example. I put it in there as a meet. I think it would be a great to get more meets going in Canada, but I'm not local. I've been there already. I'm not the right person to organize it. I'd love to get it going, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not pushing it.
If you want to get rid of the confusion, you would delegate it that way. And you would say, okay, instead of the 20 of you saying you might do something, here are 8 of you who say you will do something. Okay? And then you say, okay, 1 for California, or 2 for California if you want, 1 for Nevada. Give Josh the second one. And then you say, okay, Brandon always does 1 for Illinois. Okay. And then somebody does 1 from Michigan. Okay. And then you delegate it out that way.
If it's an even numbered year, there's a St. Louis meet.
Well, you don't have to worry about that. Well, you don't have to worry about that.
This year we're good.
Well, 2025 we're good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I think something like that could work. I don't think people are, as I said, I don't think people are in the mood to hear it, but I think that would be a possible solution.
It's an interesting political system that you're proposing.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to get political. And, I'm okay with weeding out the people who don't really want to do it and sticking with the people who actually want to do it.
I want to do it. I'm just not going to do it. So.
Yeah, but I don't like this idea of people just saying, "Ooh, I'll do it," and then they don't actually step up and do it. Like, okay, well, you say you want to do it? Here, put your name on the ballot.
You say you want a revolution? Well, we know you want to change the world, so
something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even put my name in the hat in 2025 because when I looked in September. And I was like, fuck, the freaking calendar's filled up already with all these stew nods who want to host road meets. So I'm like, all right. Because I'm sure you guys will do a better job than I will. We got city meets on the calendar. Like, that's still a thing for some reason. What are we doing here? That's ridiculous.
Hunt meet, then it's kind of lost interest. I'm just like, yeah.
But I think that's a much better idea than,
There'd be prizes.
Yeah, but that's a much better idea than, having, crawfish lunch somewhere. I mean, like, come on. Like, what are we doing?
Well, until you have a crawfish lunch, it sounds better than it is.
Crawfish.
We need to come up with a better system here because this is just not working.
We're trying to schedule the weekend.
Look,
out
you
in
guys,
advance
you
to
guys,
space things out.
you guys want to be politically correct, and I want to find solutions, and that's where the conflict
I
is.
feel like this is a solution. It's
So,
just not one I think we could have this discussion for 2 more hours if we wanted. We've got plenty of alcohol to drink over, and we've got
Yeah, I
plenty
know,
of diner food to yell over.
All right, get us another beer, will you?
Right.
Okay.
Get on it.
Anyway, all that rambling to say, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you all very much. There will be, you know what? I think that the Tennessee Titans should change their logo to a doughy butt because just like a doughy butt, they stink. So
I think
it's
the Jets are
perfect.
at upper right.
The Jets should change their logo to Mr. Yuck. You remember Mr. Yuck from when you were in school, right?
We didn't have that, but the color green tells me that's a perfect Jets logo.
It's actually pretty good. Yeah. So thank you all very much for watching in 2024. I really appreciate it. And we have one more parting shot, doughy butt for you. And we look forward to the content in 2025 and hope you'll continue to watch, in spite of whatever the hell else we come up with. So, and a Baba Booey to y'all.
Howard Stern's feelings.
Yeah. Did you see that? That I was made aware of this in the fall. There was a prank call when the O.J. Simpson chase was happening in Southern California, and somebody called in pretending to be a resident of Brentwood. Have you seen this?
No.
But he called into ABC, and it was Peter Jennings as the host, and Al Michaels was contributing commentary. And the guy comes on like pretending to be a resident of Brentwood, and at the end of the call, he's like, "And Baba Booey to y'all."
No, I was not aware of this.
When you consider the stakes, that is like one of the great prank calls of all time. What could I show you guys? I don't really have a lot to show you video wise, but I guess we could wind down with a couple of videos here. I was talking about how we would have nighttime video footage in 2025 of some metro areas, especially Philadelphia being chief among them. So while we are talking amongst ourselves, I guess we could watch that. This is a full-length video of Interstate 676, for instance. That was one of the last acts of 2024. I believe it was filmed on the 28th or 29th of December.
Shield there.
So that was added to the mix, and I believe that will be that I would think that would be fast tracked for early in 2025.
Is this coming on from 130 northbound? It looked like.
I think so.
I would like to ask your opinions of that general area, completely entirely unrelated to the fact that I have a project right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the video did not seem to show any of the signalized intersections.
I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Matt in the live chat. He knows exactly what I'm talking about with this O.J. Simpson prank call. So yeah, so thank you for filling the rest of us in on that one.
But angry face that you couldn't join us tonight in person.
Oh, it is what it is. But there will be.
We'll get him there.
There will be another time.
We'll get him up here.
Alps, are you doing a site update anytime soon?
I don't know. I'm that is a highly personal question that will not be presented on this video. But I hope that 2025 will give me the energy I need to move forward with that. So we will see.
All right.
And I appreciate if any of the viewers of this video want to hold my feet to the fire and say, "Did you update yet? Why haven't you updated yet?"
I'm not holding your feet.
I'm not going near
to the fire. Yeah. To the fire. that may encourage some
people. Doesn't matter.
Well, a perfect place to have a fire.
Hopefully not
As
in
do
the
I.
living room.
Is it approximately 2 hours west of your hometown?
Well, that's approximately 2 hours from here.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Will there be marshmallows?
Yes, and graham crackers, and
Will
also
there be the person who lit the marshmallows on fire? Yeah.
we have a improved septic system and a new roof. Well,
Well, roofs are essential.
yeah, won't have to do many.
All roofs matter.
Yeah, won't have to do capital improvements on the
Shingle roofs
cabin for
matter.
a while. So
Well, you did the
I
whole
like slate.
capital program this past year, right?
yeah, well, the roof we're supposed to get done in 2022. Then got pushed back. It got pushed back a couple of years because the contractor he took on a job. He's actually the town code enforcer now. So he had to take vacation time to do it.
Oh, all right.
And then the septic system, and I wish I had. I wish I actually took the sign with me. Like the old cesspool we had was a bunch of like wooden blocks, and there was an old stop sign face down that was on top of it. I was like, I'm like, and it was probably been there since like the 70s.
That's a shitty stop sign.
Yes, it is. But I was wondering, I'm like, is it a yellow stop sign? Is it a red stop sign?
It's brown.
Does it say dead stop end? I don't know.
Did your end feel dead?
Didn't get a chance to. I didn't get a chance to take it, so I think the people probably just sold it for scrap.
We're going to boo, but those of us who'd have to visit there and smell the sign are going to say yay.
Okay, then.
Arkansas highway
That was
sign
your
up there.
moment of
That was
zen,
one
folks.
that I actually purchased off of eBay for like $4 in 2007, 2008.
Impressive.
See what $4 can get you.
In 2007.
It can get you 4 hamburgers at the dollar menu.
Well, it used to.
Well, used to.
I don't know.
In 2007.
I don't know what's on the dollar menu these days, but
I don't know if
French fry.
exists.
Yeah, it reminds me there was this McDonald's ad. You might have seen this online at some point. This is back in 2005. There was some
That
guy.
gate opened before you even got there.
yeah,
Wow.
that gate was stupid. I don't know what was going on there.
Well, they're advertising their dollar menu, and you had this guy who was like, he's like, double cheeseburger. I'd hit it. Menu gun.
Yeah.
And I saw them like.
That is something that will forever live with you and us.
Now, if you're wondering why some of
Well, no, like anyone, like that line we associate with you, and it's our inside line that we always use for everything. Literally everything.
Dollar menu guy.
Chevy Corsica? I'd hit it.
Now, if you're wondering why some of the skyscrapers in this video are lit up in green, it was a football Sunday when I was passing through, and the Eagles had just defeated the Arlington, Texas football team to secure the NFC East Division title. So
The Austin Rocket Ships?
what did I call them?
Something like that.
Arlington something or others? Yeah. Some team that really hasn't done much the last 30 years, so no one cares about them. But yeah, so that is
Blue Stars.
Yeah. So that is the reason why, and it actually is pretty cool.
Oh, looks like Jay-Z.
A lot of the buildings in Philadelphia are all lit up in green on Eagles Victory Day. So,
Where did you go for the cheesesteak?
I did not partake in cheesesteak on this trip. No,
You at least have a roast pork sandwich.
I didn't have that either. No.
Well, what the?
Scrapple for breakfast.
Okay, yeah, I did do that.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that's more of an Allentown thing.
Eh,
It's everything but the yoink.
they're in plentiful supply in northern Delaware as well, which is where I partook in that.
along with
Yeah, I
raccoon
mean, the
meat
first time I had
veterinary.
scrapple was in Delaware, so.
Yeah,
Is
that was
that
the only
right?
time I had
Yes.
scrapple.
The
was in
first time I
Delaware.
had scrapple with ice cream.
Oh, here's the part of the video where I try not to run over panhandlers. So
Well, they had coming.
Well, you should succeed.
yeah,
Yeah, see, in New York back in the day, they would wait on the side of the road for the light to turn red and then step
no,
out.
they stand in the middle of the road at this
Yeah.
intersection. Yep.
That's
They do that.
This is
Going
what
from the Harlem River Drive to First Bronx.
the New
At that
Yorkers.
point.
The New Yorkers were much better at that than the Philadelphians, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's been an intersection that's been for years.
I will just note that by some people's definitions, you have not driven all of 676 in this video because the Pennsylvania definition goes to I-95, not the bridge.
That is correct.
And
Yep.
New Jersey, when they were assigning state highway numbers in the upper hundreds, skipped 176 as if to indicate that they would use it for the Camden Spur. But then it ended up as 676.
Well, oh. So there.
Yeah. So this is one of the anomalies in the system right here. Did you drive 676 or not?
It
And
depends.
where did New Jersey's open number go?
Yeah, this is one of those rare examples where the answer is it depends.
The answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a yes no question, that is the answer.
Yeah. I think we touched on this when we did the Philadelphia webinar series that there are two legal definitions of the confines of Interstate 676.
Yes.
On the Pennsylvania side, anyway.
One's on the state level, one's on the federal level, I think.
That is correct. Yeah, PennDOT recognizes one and FHWA recognizes the other.
Jersey doesn't have to worry about it. Clearly goes to the state line on the bridge, and then it opens up.
Right, and then that's correct.
Yep. But to fairly clinch it, you should do both. Those listening.
So that is your nighttime clinch of I-676. And I don't know if you noticed, but if you saw, like on the overhead signs, there's that flashing yellow light that reflects off of the signs. I had my amber light on when I was driving around Philly, because let me tell you, after dark, Philadelphia is like where the wild things are after dark.
That was a good book.
It's a good book, and it's based on a true story. It's based in Philadelphia.
Yes.
So if you're driving in a place like Philly after dark, that's not a bad thing to have on your car, because people won't mess with you when you have that thing.
Now we know in general.
Did it actually help you?
I actually think it did, believe it or not.
You don't do audio on your videos, but if there was ever a time to do audio, it would have been to stop for one of the panhandlers and discuss what they're doing out there. There would have been a conversation.
Yeah, I wasn't really going to stop, but that's okay. So as an addendum to what we were saying about how it depends on which alignment you follow that determines whether you clinched I-676 or not, I will humor you guys and just show you the Vine Street Expressway video at night, just to get this out of the way really quick. And there is one other video I want to show you, and there's another topic I want to discuss with you guys before we go off the air tonight.
If you take this exit, go about 4 blocks west and about 7 blocks south, you'll find areas to park. Not too far from Center City. There's streets that you can actually get your car onto without too much worry.
Is this before or after the construction of the new 76ers arena starts?
It was as of a month ago.
So take that with a grain of salt, people.
The neighborhoods to the south of downtown Philadelphia are safe to park in, and you can actually get your car there for a few hours legally, which is much easier than trying to park in Center City. That's my advice to y'all. And we're about to finish our clinch here.
This is one of my favorite urban shots in the whole country. And I've been to all the big cities in America, and this is one that I always come back to as saying, this is one of my favorites right here. This is the money shot.
So when I'm coming down I-95, you round that one turn, you have the long straightaway, and you've got the skyline ahead of you. Let me tell you, the last time I was doing that, it was during sunset. Yeah,
That's
that's
not
one of the
bad.
all-time great shots.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Nice orange and
Yeah.
pink sky with the buildings lit up on the skyline and the road straight ahead of you. Hard to beat. There, sunset. There you go.
That's a sunset
We
picture.
love it.
There it is. All right, I got one more thing I want to play for you guys, and then we'll get off the air.
I know this one.
This is going to be a current events / local topic, and
Where was the 62 clinch wandering?
it's not on this video, you clown.
You're right
so
there.
don't worry about it.
Oh.
What if I did it? What if I did a different file for it?
If you
know?
started it like 10 seconds sooner, you had all 62 in it.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? That is true. That's not unfair.
True.
Tells you I grew up here that I recognized it from just that little ramp right there.
So this video was filmed in the summer of 2024, and it features the entirety of New Jersey Route 3 and the trip through the Lincoln Tunnel into Midtown Manhattan. The reason I'm playing this for you guys is because I want to talk to you about congestion pricing. That is something that is going into effect in New York City at midnight tonight, I believe.
4.5 hours.
I agree.
So congestion pricing, for those of you who don't know, New York City has enacted a zone basically on the island of Manhattan, south of 60th Street.
We call it the Isle of Nabumbu now.
You call it a lot of things now, I think. So this area south of 60th Street on Manhattan is going to, if you want to cross into this zone, you are subject to a surcharge or toll of a fixed amount. I believe it's $9
During the day.
During the day, it varies depending on the hour of the day, but the highest charge that can be implemented is $9.
And the asterisk is they say 60th, but it includes getting off the Queensboro, which you could do at 61st. They're still going to make sure you get tolled.
Yeah,
Oh, that's the
the
same.
Queensboro gets messy, so let's leave that out.
Well, but 60th, I would say 61st to give people a better warning.
Yeah. Because, you could take the upper level or the lower level of the Queensboro and then make a wrong turn, and then you're getting zinged for the congestion price. But
it's more like 61st, where I think between 60th and 61st on all the avenues is where they put these. I believe.
So I think the way I would explain this is that they're looking to reduce congestion within the central business district of Manhattan. And so what our brilliant politicians came up with was, let's just toll or tax the people who are coming in with their cars and try to disincentivize driving in the Manhattan business district.
They also have congestion pricing in London and I think Stockholm as well. There might be some other places.
So
It's the first in the U.S. So.
Yeah, this is the first implementation of a congestion pricing tax system.
And the difference here is London, it's only the center. In most of these cities around the world, it's the downtown center city. In Manhattan, it's a broad swath of the city that includes just about every possible way to get across it to Long Island. And that's part of the issue here.
Long Island can stuff it.
Except for the Islanders.
Yeah. As someone who is a native of Long Island.
So I don't know what people think about this. On the one hand, I can understand the need to want to see. I think a lot of this started with the rideshare phenomenon, and ride sharing wasn't a thing 20 years ago. You had the yellow cab industry, and that was taking up the bulk of the share of carpooling and taxi cabbing and stuff like that.
Approximately.
And you had to pay for like a medallion or something like that.
I think the problem really started to manifest itself when stuff like Uber and Lyft started to take hold, and there was no regulation on it, and it was in competition directly with the yellow cab business and the yellow cab unions. I think that the solution, I think New York City would have been better off cutting a deal between all those parties and saying, okay, you can all share in the profits, you can all share in whatever, but we can't have all these cars driving around Manhattan not doing anything. Like, that's not serving a purpose for anybody.
And if we've noticed over the last several years, there's been great reductions in parking to provide amenities for non-motorized users. New bike paths, widened sidewalks. Basically, when I was a kid, it was 6 lanes on all the avenues and that's it. And you just park on the edge. Now you've got parking set aside, you've got separate bicycle signals. There's been a huge movement in that direction to get away from motorized vehicles. So this may be perceived by some as just the next step to further reduce the motorized traffic in general. And it started before really the onslaught of these car services. New York was already moving in that direction.
Well, they're trying to disincentivize motor transport, but they've not diminished the demand for it.
Exactly.
Like people still need to drive. People still need to get where they need to go.
Yep.
And the one thing that I would say is that New York is not like London. New York might have a great transit system. It is not built like London is. America is built on the automobile. Whereas London and the UK and these European markets are not built on the automobile. They're not built to,
or at least in the center cities.
yeah,
You do have plenty of.
from a fundamental urban planning standpoint, we are not Europe. And you cannot govern automobile usage as if we are Europe. You have two completely different things here. And so I think that while congestion pricing is well-meaning in its concept, what you're doing is you're not solving a problem. What you're ultimately going to do is move the problem around. So let me give you an example of this. So by implementing a $9 tax, which is basically let's just call it a tax. Let's just call it what it is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It is a tax on people who bring their cars into that business district of Manhattan. You bringing that car into Manhattan, it disincentivizes you from bringing that car into Manhattan, which by association means that it frees up the ability for you to bring that car elsewhere. What's to say that you can't just try to park your car at 61st Street in Manhattan? Or Long Island City, Queens? Or downtown Brooklyn? Places that are already...
Jersey City.
Weehawken.
Give us some credit here.
Okay. These are already places that are difficult to navigate as it is. You're discouraging doing business and traveling in this swath of Manhattan, but you don't eliminate the problem. What you do is you move the problem elsewhere.
Yeah, you just deferred it.
So you've now moved it to, as Steve said, Jersey City. Weehawken on the East River. That's where the new problems are going to spring up because people are not going to drive. They're going to be like, they're smart Americans. They don't want to pay more taxes than they have to. So they're going to say, all right, I see what you're doing there, putting up your toll gantry at the end of the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm going to park my car somewhere in Brooklyn. So if you didn't think the parking problem was bad enough in lower Brooklyn before now, just wait until Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
See how that goes for you.
Right, especially with the same things we're talking earlier about, basically non-motorized transport, basically, more bike lanes, things like that. That's like Brooklyn.
You're trying to artificially eliminate the need for motor transport when the actual need for motor transport has not diminished.
I'm going to raise a flag here that keep in mind this is all still in New York City. So what this is really going to do is you're going to see approximately 5,000% more tickets and towing starting Monday in Brooklyn and all these places where you're not supposed to leave your vehicle all day, and people will say, "Oh, but this isn't on the main street." NYPD is going to be very aware of people trying to buck the system, and they're going to be enforcing parking rules like crazy.
Well, and think about how the residents are going to feel.
Hence why they're going to enforce it.
This is going to be a mess, unlike anything we've seen in New York since transport post 9/11, where there was security. I was just going to say
9/11, but you're probably more politically correct.
With the security that was involved with all of that. That's where I was going with that. But I don't know how this solves any problem. The best case scenario that I can see is that, yes, you eliminate the rideshare traffic south of 60th Street, and all you do is you move the problem somewhere else.
It's still going to be there. They're just going to charge you more to use it. Let's be real.
Well, and that's the other thing, right? Like $9, the governor of New York, our brilliant governor, who's as big a dope as a governor as we've ever had in the state of New York.
They're all dopes.
There's been worse.
She's near the top.
I don't disagree with
She's like, she got her pom poms out, like, oh, I negotiated it down to $9. You'd have negotiated it down to $9 for 2025. What's it going to be in 2028? Because this is going to go up every year. You understand that, right? Like, are we, the taxpayers of New York State, that stupid to believe that? She negotiated it down to $9. It could have been $15, but she negotiated it down to $9, so she's freaking brilliant. I mean, give me a break. You know?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
It'll be 15 in 2030. And what are we going to solve congestion wise?
So you're saying in 2033 I can ask her out?
I mean, if you're into that kind of thing,
Once
you do
she's
whatever
over
you
18,
want.
okay.
You do whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
By the time we get there, $20 will probably be cost of a cup of coffee.
So my overall thoughts on congestion pricing are that it's a nice idea and concept. I think that it should have been completely different than it actually is, and I think that there should have been a lot of things done. If our government wasn't so broken, I think that we could have made deals with the unions, with the yellow cabs, and we could have gotten some sort of a reduction in traffic years ago. We could have gotten some sort of a cold peace between Uber and the yellow cab industry, and we could have gotten it sorted out that way. But instead of doing that, we saw an opening here because, New York State loves to tax its residents. We were like, hey, we can tax people. That's a better solution, isn't it?
Don't forget, New York loves to tax out-of-state residents too.
Well, and New Jerseyans are not happy about this either. Let's not forget about that.
I need to raise a point about this video. You did not, in fact, drive NJ3 because you were missing a mile of it.
Yeah, but it's close enough, though.
And you're missing half a mile of 495. So,
but it's that's okay.
This also is a break from any political talk, just to talk about the video isn't technically perfect. Therefore, we must complain about it.
Doesn't need to be perfect.
Yes, it does, says the viewers.
Sure.
I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking for our YouTube viewers over there who want nothing but perfection.
But yeah, I think
and, Mark Moore brings up a point. Who's also basically it was postponed. It was supposed to congestion pricing was supposed to start this past summer.
No, it was supposed to start then until it was politically convenient.
See, so
it was supposed to start in the summer. It was announced to provide the opportunity to postpone it for political gain. That was smart thinking.
Those of you who will mock me for saying that this is political discussion, how dare you bring this up? It's not political. Well, she postponed it. Yeah. She postponed it for political gain. Let's be honest.
No, politics always seem to rear their ugly head in that.
She announced it being in the summer with the intent to then postpone it for political gain. It was there from the start. Let's be real.
So, anyway, it's.
I'm a jaded New Jerseyan, so you're hearing how we feel about it. It was planned all along.
To the point of the New Jersey angle on this, New Jerseyans are pissed, and as they rightfully should be, because they pay enough as it is, an arm and a leg, to go through the Lincoln Tunnel every day, like I am in this video here.
And we're approximately 100% of the ones driving into Manhattan.
Yeah, and so you guys are getting shafted. And
that's why they're okay doing it, because it's not hurting New Yorkers, it's hurting New Yorkers.
They made some sort of stupid, half-assed concession about how they're going to funnel some of the money into New Jersey Transit, but they wouldn't commit to a percentage. So that's where they sort of left that.
So it's probably in the single digits.
Probably.
Of dollars, yes.
Well, don't forget that one of the main funding purposes behind the congestion pricing was to prop up the MTA and the MTA's capital program. In the subway system, primarily, but elsewhere in the system as well. I think the bridges and tunnels do their own thing, but I think the subway system and maybe the Metro North Railroad as well, Long Island Railroad.
They're all organized separately, but it's all the same What's the word I'm looking for here? The same managing.
It's the same
organization.
it's the same umbrella and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So the
falls
money that
underneath.
comes in
Yeah.
from all the various sources goes to all of them. They're run separately, but the money is pooled, to be clear.
Yeah, and they need the subways have been losing money for years. The COVID thing and the crime thing in recent years has not helped.
I mean, Subway's been losing money since ever because it's been the
Well,
least loss worthy of any subway system in the country, but it loses money because inherently, if you raise prices to what would need to cover the subway rides, no one would ride it, then you have to raise it further, dot, dot, dot. So you're never going to win anywhere with the subway fare.
yeah, so they're looking to prop up the subway, and they're like, well, let's just tax the people who don't use the subway, because the people who aren't using the subway aren't going to use the subway anyway, so let's just take more money out of their pocket. And so that's really the political side of this has to do with propping up the transit around the metro area. And there are a lot of different opinions as far as whether that should be a thing. Obviously, in Pennsylvania, people have been used to that because their Pennsylvania turnpike tolls have been siphoned away for years to prop up transit around the state, particularly in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. It's just it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. This solution sucks.
Yeah, I mean, transit is key for mobility in New York. It's not propping up a failing system. It's propping up a very much needed and important system that we know, just like government in general, people wonder where taxes go. Well, no, or actually, no. A better example is roads that we pay a gas tax. Well, roads don't fund themselves, so no, the subway doesn't fund itself. It needs support, and in New York City, it is critical to the functioning of the city. It's a question of is this the right way to go about getting it that funding, and that's where these discussions come in.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not there are cities where you could say the subway does nothing here, it's here to look good. And there are cities like New York where it's vital to the functioning of the city.
I think there are a lot of different angles we could take on, the worthiness of this program, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it unfolds here starting tomorrow morning and Monday morning in particular. But
yeah, we're going to be they've started on Sunday for that reason to iron out kinks in how they manage the system, but absolutely Monday is going to be the lesson in how this goes.
yeah, so this is going to be something to watch. I might even do a webinar on this at some point in the future because I think it's an interesting topic that deserves to be discussed in all of its different perspectives, not just the ones that, I've laid out, but there are other aspects to this as well that I think should be heard.
I think we should do a live webinar standing on 61st Street, watching as cars go by, looking at what's happening.
Should we be panhandling in the middle of the street?
I think we should be panhandling the message that don't go any further, you will be charged, and seeing if we can get any cars to turn around in the middle of a one-way avenue.
That would be fascinating.
I would love to see that, actually. Although in New York City, it wouldn't surprise me.
Me neither.
That's why I'm proposing a modest proposal.
So anyway, those are some of the things to keep an eye out for in 2025. And I want to thank our panelists who joined me tonight for our recap of the year 2024.
Always an alcoholic pleasure.
We had Steve and Doug and Bill here.
Hello, Bill.
Wiz headquarters here in New York State. Keep an eye out for future upcoming live streams because I'm sure there will be more of those. There'll be plenty more where that came from. And until then, I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. So until then, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.
I enjoyed it.